But today we're going to narrow it right down. So if we look at Scorpio, to start to understand Scorpio, there are kind of 7 evolutionary steps or consciousnesses within the Scorpio archetype itself. And so the first one is we're looking at the consciousness of the spider. And so spiders, they tend to attack. If they feel threatened, they're going to bite you. They don't really think much about it. And again, a lot of spiders in Australia are poisonous and will kill you. And then we come up to, actually, let me just double check. Yeah, it is. It's the scorpion. I don't have a symbol of the scorpion, unfortunately. And the scorpion, again, has that tail. When it feels threatened, it wants to sting you. It will come, if it feels threatened by you, it will come and attack you. And then we come up to the consciousness of the lizard. So the lizard, they will attack if feeling threatened, but they have a capacity to stand back and start to observe. So as we start to mature through the Scorpio archetype, there starts to be this quality of not just being defensive and striking out, but stepping back and starting to see, well, what is actually happening here? There's this consciousness of starting to observe. And then we come up to the wolf. This looks like a Neptunian wolf. It looks a bit dazed and confused. It's a bit fluffy, isn't he? Anyway, so the wolf, though, reminds us that the wolf will strike to kill, but only when its home and family feel threatened. So it has a higher level of consciousness again, where it will strike out, it will attack, but only when its home and immediate environment and family are at risk. So there's more of a consciousness there again. And then we start to come up into the snake. The snake shedding its skin represents transformation, that we are able to start to release and clear. We're not bound to what the past has been. And that's a really important part of the Pluto and Scorpio archetype, is that it's evolutionary, it's constantly evolving. And so we have that capacity to shed our skin and be renewed. So that's a regenerative quality to it. And then we come up into the eagle. So I have a beautiful eagle feather here. And this one we found on the Nullarbor driving back from Perth. And the eagle is starting to come up into the much higher attributes of the Scorpio archetype. And what this is here is that the eagle can fly up and look down upon what is happening. So it's starting to become the observer witness, which is what we practice a lot in meditation and in Kundalini Yoga, so that we're no longer just defending like the spider or the lizard, but we can get a higher aspect and we can start to see the much bigger picture. And the eagle will really only protect its young, but the eagle also has the consciousness to make the young mature very quickly, so it can look after itself. So there's no devouring mother with an eagle. Again, it knows it's got to teach its young to protect itself and get up off the ground. So the eagle is a very common symbology to the Scorpio energy. The other ones are not so common. You don't often hear of the spider or the lizard. And then finally we have the bowl of ashes, the phoenix rising from the ashes. So this is when we have the maturity in our consciousness, where we can allow ourselves to be destroyed. There's no resistance, there's no defense. We can allow what needs to be destroyed in our lives to be destroyed, and then to rebirth ourselves from that, to rise from our own ashes. And that's a huge leap in consciousness, because often we're fighting for something, aren't we? We're often fighting for our survival. But with the eagle and the phoenix rising from the ashes, it's like we have this capacity to trust God to defend us, so we don't have to do it ourselves. And that's very much a Kundalini attribute as well that we bring in with us, is that we put the faith in God. So if someone comes and appears to hurt us, first of all, you can take the eagle's perspective and try and rise up and get the bigger picture, so that you're not just seeing it through your own lens, first of all. And when you start to apply that practice, it's really quite amazing how you step back and it's actually different to what you first perceived it to be. And you think, well, thank God I didn't go and just put my foot in that and go with my first thought or my first reaction, because I would have made a fool of myself. You know, I would have been the spider or the lizard. But I gave myself space and I came back, and the next time I looked at it, oh, it's actually a different picture to what I first perceived it to be. And in that we can trust, give ourselves some space, so that we don't just start putting the stinger out into everyone with the Scorpio energy. So that's sort of the 7 evolutionary stages of the Scorpio energy. And we'll come back in our sharing circle and you can reflect on that and share to the group. Maybe you have a story about where you've been one of those particular consciousnesses, and sort of how you had that death process through it. Like where was the death process in it, and how did you transform, and how did you regenerate? So they're kind of Scorpio stories of where have we been hurt enough, where have we suffered enough to then transform, and to really transform. Like with Scorpio and Pluto, it's actually a metamorphosis. Uranus would be transformation, but Scorpio energy is like the caterpillar becoming the butterfly. It's not recognizable. It's a completely different structure within. And that's what Scorpio offers us through going deep, which is why on the glyph, the energy comes down first and then it comes up with the point, because we have to go down into the depths. We have to explore it. So Scorpio, that's why Scorpio is intense, because it's always trying to see what the bottom line is. It wants to know, how deep can you go? How deep can we go, so that we can, and what is down there, we can bring it up. We can bring that back up to the light of day. So it will feel intense, you know, if you've got a strong Libra energy and you want to keep everything in the social sphere and keep the face looking good, put the masks on in a sense, then it doesn't like that energy of wanting to go deep and into the shadows to explore what's there. But Scorpio is the sign after Libra, and it's like, okay, I don't want to be at the superficial anymore. I don't want to pretend. I don't want to just be social with you. I want to know who you really are, and who am I in relation to you, 8th house, and how do we merge to become one, so that we're not two individuals anymore, but we merge and become one. And that's the sexuality aspect of Pluto and Scorpio. Because what happens in sexual union, that tantric sexual union, is that the ego dies. There's a death. Something has to die with Scorpio. But it's, do we do it consciously, or do we do it defensively and bite and sting? And then we don't really get the transformation. But when we consciously bring something to the death, the mini death, such as our own ego, in a sexual union in tantric ways, then when your ego drops and you merge into another, and this is why Pluto and Scorpio energy also relates to DNA, because, and karma, taking on another person's karma. When you're sexually intimate with another person, you take on that person's karma because of the exchange through the body fluids. So it's powerful. These are very powerful topics. And Kundalini Yoga, you know, we have certain kriyas to clear out the energy of previous sexual partners, because they, particularly for the women, our previous sexual partners stay imprinted up on us in our auric fields until we cleanse them, till we do practices to cleanse the imprint of that person off, because particularly as women, the aura opens up to receive every time, whether she wants to receive a child or not. It's not a conscious act. It's just what happens. The aura opens up and the partner imprints on the woman, and then her aura closes again.